Hi, how are you?
I'm fine. How you doing?
I'm I'm fine. I'm great. Just trying to do this dissertation, and so let me just, for the sake of the interview, let me just introduce myself again. I
Okay.
am Shweta. I'm a third year film student at SCMC, and yeah, so my dissertation is about the Iranian New Wave Cinema, and particularly focuses on the foreign reception of it and the domestic reception of it. So, hi, can you tell me something
I
about like yourself, just on the spot?
okay. Let me introduce myself. I'm Mahdi Falahati, 24 years old, an independent filmmaker. I live in Iran, and I'm Iranian. And I studied dramatic literature and uh, in Azad University Central Branch. And but now I'm interested in filmmaking. I made um, two short films, and I'm working on my first feature film called Interrogation Room. It's
Oh,
an anthology
right,
with three segments.
with three segments, right?
Yeah,
So you're in the
and
process of writing that?
what? Sorry,
I asked if you're in the process of writing or
no. We produced two segments of this anthology, and
oh,
we are
okay.
in the process of writing the third segment.
Right, right. That's great.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm a founder of a production company, film production company, the Rebels Productions. Yeah, and we started from 2015, 2015, and until now we produced up to 14 or 15 short films. And my first feature film is the first feature film of the label.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That is
So, any
that's
question?
actually very. Yes, I do actually have a lot of questions to ask you, and I hope we have the time
Okay,
to
so
probably
let's
talk
do
about
it.
that. Yes. So, my first question is, so growing up, were you exposed, how, like, to what extent were you exposed to films from the Iranian New Wave?
From Iranian filmmakers.
Yeah, like from the New Wave specifically. I mean, obviously you saw Iranian films, but Iranian New Wave
Yeah.
specifically.
If I want to name just one person, I can name Sohrab Shahid. Yeah, I really praise him, and
Hmm.
he's the realest filmmaker I've ever seen in my life. And you know, the revolution of Iran really changed everything for the filmmakers in Iran, especially the Iranian New Wave Cinema, that movement. A lot of filmmakers immigrated from Iran to other countries after the revolution. So Shahid Salas, but he immigrated before the revolution, just 2 years before the revolution. But everything was so messed up. And Sorab Shahid Salas, Bahram Beizai, and I can name Rafi Peeps, and the other filmmakers. And we have two separated movements after the revolution. One of them is the filmmakers that they stayed in Iran and they cooperate with the governmental organizations for producing film, like SEPA or other governmental organizations, to take the budgets of the films. And the other was so um, incredibly independent, and they were um, immigrated to the other countries for producing films. Paris Sayed, he's an actor and film producer. He produced the um, Simple Event and the other film. I can't remember the name. I'm sorry. It's still life. It's still life. Still life.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah, the second feature film of the Shahid Salas. He produced the films of the Shahid Salas, and he was an actor in Iran. He acted in a lot of commercial films, just to take the money and produce some intellectual and artificial films. Yeah,
Mhm.
and he immigrated to the USA, and he made two films. He produced a still life for Shahid Saleh in Iran before the revolution, and they won the silver bear of the
Oh,
Berlinale,
mhm.
Berlin Film Festival. Yeah, and I can always remember a thing that Shahid Saleh said in an interview with satellite television outside of Iran, Persian satellite television outside of Iran. He said, when we won the silver bear of the Berlin Film Festival, I told Sayed that why they are encouraging us, why they are clapping for us. I don't know why. I don't like my films also because cinema is fake. Cinema is a lie.
Mhm.
But for me as a filmmaker, is that if you wanna show something as a fake, just show it in the realist shape of it,
Mhm.
and just show it as real. For example, if I wanna relate it to your culture, Satyajit
Mhm.
Ray, I think
Right.
he's simple and he's not lying. He's real.
Yeah.
He's real filmmaker. I've never been in India. I've never touched the life of an Indian in India, but I can understand it because it comes from East.
It does. There is a similarity, I feel, definitely.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And Panther Panchali is, for me, it's so similar to Still Life of by Shahid Salas.
Right. So my second question to you is basically, growing up, for example, you said Satyajit Ray, right? I was never exposed to the film of Satyajit Ray in terms of my life. Like, it was only when I came to college that, you know, or not just Satyajit Ray, in general, like independent parallel cinema, or even like revolutionary cinema, like films of the Iranian New Wave, like I'm saying in comparison, I
Yeah,
was
yeah.
never exposed to that. So was it the case for you as well? Were you exposed to the films of Kiarostami or Panahi, or like you're saying, Salis, when, like, how was it? Like, did your parents watch it? Did your siblings watch these films, or was it just you?
I watched Taste of Cherry for the first time with my parents, and my mom said that she was really connected to that film. Yeah,
Okay.
she understood it and really was connected with that film
Mm-hmm.
because it's about the being or not to be, you know, and
Yeah.
you wanna be alive or not,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, my parents like this kind of movies, and they
Okay.
support me to make film and
Oh,
produce my own films. Yeah, And like the other filmmakers, I praise Abbas Kiarostami's cinema, but not his character. Yeah, I told you
Mm-hmm.
why.
Yeah.
And his son, and his son, Bahman Kiarostami, is really brilliant and genius documentary filmmaker that I've ever seen in my life. I can name him as one of the most important documentary filmmaker in after 20 after 2000
Okay.
um, decade. Yeah, yeah. And about the other filmmakers, I praise Bahram Beyzai, but he's not my taste so much. Yeah, he's a really great filmmaker, and Shahid Saleh praised him in one of his interviews. And Panahi, Panahi is really he's inspired by Abbas Kiarostami's cinema because he was
Mhm.
the director assistant on
Yeah,
some
yeah.
projects with him. Yeah, and he's good. I don't have any comment for him. But the policy of the film festivals and the perspective and the point of view that they follow is something like that. Just show poverty, um, bad occasions, and the problems from the Middle East, and they like your film because
That is,
it's not like that.
in terms of, like you said, your parents are supportive of your film career, and they took you to watch Kiarostami's films. Is that the general case in Iran? Do people generally go out to watch such films, such films from the Iranian New Wave, such parallel films, such different kind of films? Like, is that how it? Because internationally, you hear so much about these films, and they receive so many awards, and films of Kiarostami, Panahi, like you said. So, is it the case in Iran as well? Like, are they received with as much joy, as much appreciation as outside?
Yeah, you mean the Persian society and the other peoples in Iran?
Yeah. So, does
Like,
Persian society, receive these films of the new wave as much as the international community does?
okay, let me explain it for you. If you ask a filmmaker or Iranian people, for example, 20 years ago, 10 years ago, no, they actually even don't like this kind of cinema. And somehow they called it rubbish. The
Mm-hmm.
most of the people, I mean the society of Iran, not the artists and the intellectual society and community of Iran. Yeah, but now it's different. And the media and the internet is now it's available in Iran, and people can stream these films, and they can search and find these films now. Yeah, and they support this kind of films, they watch this kind of films, and the power of the media and the power
Mm-hmm.
of the internet, the availability of the internet, that everyone can access to the internet and search and find this kind of films. Yeah, for example, when I talked about the film students many years ago, the film students that they are older than me, they told me that you know your generation is so lucky because you have internet and you can find everything you want. Many years ago, when we wanted to find a film from David Lynch, we just have to record the copy a lot of VHS films to share
Mm-hmm.
this kind of films and these artistic films. And now, yeah, and but we on the other side, um, filmmaking is easier now.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone can make a film, but it depends what kind of film, with which quality. I mean, and everyone can make film. It's easy now, and and they can send it and submit it for the film festivals. So easy. So and they are communicated to this um, Iranian New Wave Cinema to watch the films. But the media is supporting, and the government of Iran is supporting some filmmakers that um, they really don't deserve this kind of paying attention to them, because we have really, really good independent filmmakers in Iran that they are unknown, you know, and nobody even talk about their films and watch their films. Yeah, the power of the media is so messed up, and
It is,
is
yeah.
ruining everything. Some of our filmmakers, they have traditional thoughts. I don't mean Islamic thoughts, traditional
Mm-hmm.
thoughts, and they are something like that. They don't even uh, give a space to the new filmmakers and new generation.
Right.
They just want the cinema for themselves, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And we are the new generation, and we want to make films. And the situation of Iran is something like that. That the government and the other organizations is that if you think, even think against them,
Mm.
they won't let you to make your film, and they you know cut it off.
That I understand. That is, censor is definitely a problem in India as well, and that is actually, that was going to be one of my questions. That, what do you, what so I remember when I was watching Taxi Tehran, that Panahi talks about, like, subtly talks about all the restrictions that are posed on films, for a film to be able to be released. Like, you have to have it go through a board, right? Like, even for you to send it to festivals in Iran, basically, about the restrictions that are posed on, uh, in Iran, on making films. There are a lot of restrictions, right? So
Yeah,
what do you can you tell us a little bit about them as an independent filmmaker? And do you think filmmakers from the Iranian New Wave, who sort of fought against this in a way with their films, do you think they helped? Do you think they paved the way for you as a filmmaker? And can you tell us about the restrictions? Because I remember reading about the restrictions in the sense that all filmmakers have a different view on it. Like, I remember Kiarostami saying that the restrictions help me to be more creative and find new ways. But obviously, not everyone has
yeah.
that approach.
The restriction made the filmmakers creative. That's right. He's saying right thing. But after the revolution, everything changed. Until now, everything is changing now in Iran.
Mm-hmm.
And after revolution, when a rock band, wanted to um, sing or make a gig, you know, just gig for live event.
Mm-hmm.
And the government didn't let us. to do this. Didn't let them. We were so limited, so limited. And yeah, after revolution, Abbas Kiarostami took the uh, um, atmosphere of the films. He started to making films in the village because he believed that uh, we I don't um, see my mom every day with hijab in the house, you know. So
Mm-hmm.
he started filmmaking outside of the city because you can see a village woman in the village with hijab, Islamic hijab. Yeah,
Okay.
it's so normal. Inside the house, outside the house, in the village, it was normal. So yeah, he's right. But now it's enough, you know? It's enough.
Mm-hmm.
Our generation, the new filmmakers are doing something that is really interesting, you know? Um, I named my label Rebels because I think that and we are the rebels, you know? We are the rebels filmmakers that wanted to change something. The restrictions. Yeah, and it's enough for us. We want to make films for my own opinion. Once Tom Jarmusch, the brother of Jim Jarmusch, told me that just make your fucking own movie, and that and this is something that I memorized it from 3 years ago. Yeah, I just want to make my own movie. I don't care about the restrictions. Yeah, we don't care about the restrictions. The new filmmaker, the new generation. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
the new generation with new medias and the easier ways to filmmaking and submitting film festival is so easier than past. Yeah, we have a lot of options. Vimeo and online streamings, the ways of to distribute the films and making money from them. Yeah, it makes the ways of the filmmaking so easier.
It
Yeah, and
does.
you asked about the filmmakers that they fought with the restrictions. I can name Mohammad Rasulov. Yeah, he made 7 feature films that all of them is prohibited and banned in Iran.
Who's the
Yeah,
filmmaker? Sorry.
Mohammad Rasulov.
Okay. Right.
Yeah, he won. He won the Golden Bear in the Berlin Film Festival in 2020 or 2019. I can't remember. For
Okay.
um, um, Muhammad Rasulullah for There Is No Evil in 2020. He won the Golden Bear of the Berlin Film Festival. Berlin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. He made about 7 or 8 feature films that all of them is prohibited and banned. And he can leave the country. He can leave the country. He was in the
Mm-hmm.
Evin jail for about I think 1 year or 2 years. I can't remember. And in a period of time, he can't leave the house, his house. Yeah, it was banned.
Oh, so, so he was on house arrest for making a film.
Yeah, yeah.
So, have you faced any issues with these restrictions personally with your films?
Yeah, I have a lot of issues, but I don't care.
What do you mean you don't care? Like, how do you release?
You know, some of my friends, they are making film to publish it in Iran, to distribute it in Iran under the restrictions. But the other side of my friends, the other side of my friends, they are making films that they cooperated and collaborated with my label, Rebels Productions. They don't care
Mm-hmm.
about the distribute their films in Iran. They just want to make their own movie to distribute it on the film festivals outside of Iran and sell the films to the aggregators and distributors outside of Iran.
So my next question is about the um, yeah. So wait, I want to talk about your friends who make films to be distributed in Iran. Um, how do you think
My
they feel?
fans, what?
Your friends? You were
Oh, my
saying your
friends.
friends who yes, your friends who make films to be distributed in Iran, right? So how
Yeah.
do they feel about the restrictions? How do they deal with that?
Um, I'm laughing because last night we had a meeting with my friends and we were talking about these things. And yeah, because I have a side project making an anthology with my friends. Yeah,
Mhm.
low budget anthology, and uh, we are making a movement for. It's a side project for me. My main project is the Rebels production, but we were
Mhm.
talking about these things and the censorship restrictions. I'm For example, one of my friends wanted to um, make a film with some nudity scenes,
Okay.
and the others was disagree to make these kind of films. So when my friends wanted to make film in Iran, they always told me that we don't have any other choice. We can't do anything, and just begging and begging that if we have no other way, we have to do this. But I'm fucking disagree with them because I told you we have a lot of film festivals, we have a lot of options to distribute our films outside of Iran and making money from our films and sell it. So um, I can remember an interview from Amir Nadari. Um,
Okay.
yeah, he on that interview he said, "Don't say bullshit. Just make your film. If you want to make it, so just do it." Yeah, yeah. Amir Nadari
That
is
is
one
good.
of the most important. Amir Nadari is
Yeah.
one of the most important filmmakers in Venice Film Festival and outside of Iran. Yeah, he immigrated to Italy, I think, and he
Mhm.
made a film in Japan with um, full Japanese cast and crew.
It,
Yeah, yeah. Cut,
and it was
cut
in,
to 2000
what language was it in?
Japanese.
It was in Japanese, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
wow.
A lot of Iranian filmmakers after immigration they made a lot of films in other languages. For example, Shahid Salas, when he immigrated to Germany, he cooperated with ZDF and he made a lot of Dutch films with Dutch language. Utopia and let me check.
No, I remember Utopia. That's Thales.
Yeah, Utopia and Far From Home, and the other films.
Utopia is a
And
great film.
The Willow Tree, Roses for Africa, Hans, A Young Man in Germany, The Last Summer of Grape, The Long Vacation of Lot H. Eisner. Yeah, and it's the same thing for the Amin Nadir. He made
Mhm.
a lot of films outside of Iran in other languages. Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
So,
and same for Abbas Kiarostami.
mhm,
He
certified
made a
copy.
film in, yeah, certificated copy, and Like Someone in Love in Japan,
Yes, yes. Yeah,
2020,
you're right.
2012, sorry.
Yeah, he passed away in 2016, I think. Yeah, so my next question is, you were talking about sending films to festivals, right? So,
Yeah,
do you think, you know, do you think these filmmakers who make films with the intent of sending them to festivals, do you think it affects their creative process and the kind of plot they choose? Because there was this site earlier, like when Kiarostami used to make films like Where is the Friend's Home and Olive Trees. Uh, there was this
yeah, I
kind
love
of
Olive
comment.
Trees.
There was this sort of commentary that was going on that there's this sort of political escapism in his films where he's taking philosophical topics. So do you think that uh yeah, so my question is, do you think that the fact that you want to be able to send it to a festival affects the kind of story and the kind of setting you create? Because I've read a lot about how certain films are selected that show Iran in a certain way, like you were saying, right? Like that show
Mhm,
poverty or this kind of
mhm,
misery. So do you think
mhm,
that is something that is a factor, that is still a factor? And do you think this political escapism is a thing?
mhm. For me as a filmmaker, I didn't do this, and I won't do this to change my story and make a film for just for the film festivals. No, no, I won't do this, and my label won't do this. The
Mhm.
Rebels Productions and the projects that we cooperated with the filmmakers. No, but the other filmmakers, yeah, sorry, but yes, the new generation is not like that, and they laughing at them. They're laughing at them. That you I read a book that sell your film, but don't sell your uh, ghost. Yeah, yeah. I can suggest this book to all the old filmmakers in Iran. And that's why I really respect Shahid Salas, because he immigrated to Germany 2 years before revolution, and he made a lot of good films, and the real films, the real cinema. You know, he's not really fake. When you watch his interviews, you can understand that he's really real. you know yeah, and the new filmmakers, yes, they some of them maybe do this, do the policies to
Mhm.
grab the prizes and awards. Middle East is something that I don't know why they always try to show something that this is not fucking real. In Middle East, some peoples are really so happy with poverty. They are really so happy. What? Why you wanna show this? Yeah. In Iran, we have a lot of problems. We don't have a good horror movie. We don't have a good thriller movie. We don't have a good Western movie. Why? Because uh, our cinema is so. I mean, recently, the recent decade in Iran, not
Mhm.
the old years. Yeah, I respect the old years, and we don't even have film Farsi these years. You know, we don't even have film Farsi. Yeah, in before the revolution, we have a lot of good examples for the film Farsi. For example, Qaisar by um, Kimiyai, uh, Masood Kimiyai. Yeah, yeah. Paris Sayed don't doesn't like this movie. Yeah, yeah, and he because the started point of the Iranian New Wave Cinema is two theory. Some of the filmmakers and the artists believe that the started of Iranian New Wave Cinema is Cow by Darush Mehjui, and the others believe that no, it started with Qaisar by Masoud Kimiyai. Yeah,
Yeah.
two theories. Yeah, and this is why um, they are against the film Farsi and the subject of film Farsi.
Mhm.
So yeah, we don't have good genres of cinema, and in the old days they were focused on the philosophy topics, like the other Middle Eastern filmmakers like Nuri Bilge Ceylan, or even in India Satyajit Ray. But now in Iran, the problem is they want to show the problems of the society, but not the real problems. Some fake problems that it's so shallow. It's so shallow. Yeah. One of my friends once told me that I want to make films to show that everyone is happy. Not in the shallowest point. So deep. Everyone is happy. Yeah, we want happiness. and and somehow you can criticize your situations with that happiness, you know.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, and in a way, like me personally, that is the kind of films I want to make. In the sense that I want to make happy films. I want to make films that, because films give me happiness. So I want to be able to give people happiness. So I get what you mean by that, definitely. Uh,
Yeah, but let me tell you something that it I don't want to make a misunderstanding. And happiness is good, but in not in the shallow way, you know.
yeah.
And yeah, and I want to explain more about the new generations of the filmmakers in Iran. They want to criticize. They don't want to. They don't believe the restrictions and the bans and taboos and prohibitions in Iran. Yeah, they just want to make their own movie. They don't care about these things, and they want to criticize everything: the
Mhm.
government, the media, the situation that they live in. Yeah, uh, some of my friends. Well, I have a project, OCD short film. I cooperated with a production company, Panjere Pictures. Um, yeah, the other production company, and it's rough. It's criticize everything: the media, the situation, the problems of the family. Yeah, and I even call them rebels because because they they are criticizing everything, because these days in Iran we are in a special decade and a special time that everything is changing. Everything is. moving, moving forward. Yeah, we are in the time that the old thoughts and the expired thoughts are destroyed, and people think think about the situation and the society that they live in. For example, my parents don't like the new films from cinema of Iran.
Right.
Yeah, because
Why?
they can understand that what is fake and what is real. And even people is really, really more better than before. They think about the situation and they grasp it.
So I was saying, yeah. So yesterday you were telling me about how you think Faradi's films don't necessarily reflect reality, and they sort of have a very bourgeoisie nature to them. So let's look at the Iranian New Wave as a whole,
Hmm.
and then let's look at filmmakers. So do you think Iranian New Wave as a whole has a tendency to reflect reality, because that is one of the very basic tenets of it, right? That they wanted to make realist films, they wanted to make cinema verite. So do you think it reflected the reality of Iran?
What, the Iranian New Wave Cinema?
Yes.
Yeah, 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 yeah. It affected on the society, of course, of course. For example,
Mm-hmm.
Cow by Dariush Mehdi,
Mm-hmm.
the artists, the intellectuals, and even the people was against the government, and they praised this film, and even Ayatollah Khomeini
Yeah.
praised Cow. Yeah, yeah, the ex leader of Iran. Yeah,
So.
it affected because the media is so powerful. Cinema is a media and it's so powerful, more than music and painting and the other mediums. I have a lot of friends that they are musicians, punk rock musicians, punk rock bands in Iran,
Mm-hmm.
punk rock bands in Iran. Yeah, and some of my friends are painter,
Mm-hmm.
but cinema is so fucking powerful.
That is true. It is.
Yeah, but after the revolution, something changed in Iran. Yeah, yeah. Because when I was born in 1998, but I didn't
Mm-hmm.
see the revolution. But when you watch the documentaries, the interviews, talk with your parents, with the
Mm-hmm.
other filmmakers from that time, you can see that, yeah, something changed. Something really changed, that and filmmakers changed. Yeah, yeah.
I so yeah, so you keep saying that something changed. What do you think changed?
Yeah, for example, the restrictions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the problems of filmmaking in Iran. Yeah, and and they have the budget. The government and the SEPA have the budget of the films. Have the budget of the films, and they just produce the films that they want to propaganda
Mm-hmm.
about the problems that USA is something like that, and the West is something like that, and yeah, yeah, it's so political.
So that
And
so
the independent filmmakers just make films, with their budget, their own budget, personal budget,
Hmm.
not not supported from any organization.
You're saying that, like, I'm just trying to understand. So you're saying that before the revolution, there were a lot of issues filmmakers faced, and after the revolution, there are still restrictions, and like you said, the organization and the censors, but something changed. So
Yeah,
what exactly changed in the people that this kind of.
yeah. When I said that something changed, I mean the restrictions. And if you, for example, you as a woman wanted to act in my film,
Hmm.
you have to wear a scarf or have full
Right.
hijab. Yeah,
Okay.
and these kind of problems that it was it's really ridiculous, you know, because we are free.
Hmm. So
Yeah,
this restriction was removed post the revolution, you're saying, right?
this restriction removed what?
After the revolution, they removed these restrictions, you're saying.
No, 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 no. They put the restrictions.
So wait, so even now, if I wanted to act in your film, I would have to wear a scarf, you're saying.
Yeah, yeah. Before revolution, there were no fucking limitations for filmmakers.
Right.
Just the quality of the films. If you made a bad film, they
Hmm.
won't show it. They won't screen it. But now you make rubbish, but under the restriction. You can distribute it everywhere, everywhere in Iran.
Oh, so you're saying it's negatively impacted the after the
Negatively
revolution.
impacted. Yeah, yeah, of course, of course.
Right. So it's very interesting because on one hand you have this revolution and you have this change in your in culture, and the Iranian new wave itself sort of started around the revolution little before. So but on the other hand you have so many restrictions. So what do you think about that, like sort of the kind of
In
irony?
in the past, the filmmakers didn't have any choice. They really
Hmm.
didn't have any choice. You know, for example, Abbas Kiarostami was creative. He went to the villages. I told you.
Mhm.
He went to the villages and he made where, yeah, yeah, yeah. The wind will carry us. Or where is the friend's home? Yeah.
Yeah.
He went to the villages and made a lot of films. So he was creative. He didn't have any choice. Yeah. So, but now, I mean, um, in this decade, in the last decade, after 2010, 2011, when internet was available in Iran
Mhm.
for everyone, it was not like that. You can turn around the restrictions.
Right. That I
Yeah.
think it's really interesting that with the revolution came all of these restrictions. Like real technically when you think of a revolution you will always think that restrictions will go down, and it's really interesting to think of how.
No, 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 no. In Iran, everything is vice versa and upside down. Yeah, yeah. Everything is upside down and vice versa.
Yeah, so my we were talking about films of the Iranian New Wave being a representation of reality, right?
Yeah.
And so you were talking about Kiarostami and how your mother related to Taste of Cherry. So
Yeah.
can you tell me about how whether you feel so if you take Kiarostami's films, say from earlier, like Where is the Friend's Home or Through the Olive Trees or say Taste of Cherry, and then you take films like Certified Copy and Like Someone in Love.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, how are they perceived in Iran? Like, films like Certified Copy and Like Someone in Love, because they were so removed from the context of Iran. So, how were they perceived? Like, was it common to watch it? Did you watch it? Did your friends watch it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We watch it because we are cinephile. But you
Be-
know, when you want to make film in Iran, you have to choose that um, um, what is your audiences.
hmm.
You want to um, you want Iranian audiences or the other. I mean, I mean the the other countries. Yeah.
Hmm.
So that is why Asghar Farhadi made a hero for Iranian audiences in Iran, and he
Hmm.
screened it in Iran. You know, uh, I think that Abbas Kiarostami, when he made certificated copy or like someone
Hmm.
in love,
Hmm.
he was focused on the France and Japan audiences and the other countries. Yeah, when it released um, globally, people watched it, but not all of the people. Like Taste of Cherry.
Right. So why do you think Kiarostami made Certified Copy and Like Someone in Love for audiences that were not Iranian? Like, why do you think he chose to make a film for French
I
audiences?
think, I think, I think that when a filmmaker make a film outside of Iran with um, not non-Iranian cast,
Hmm.
they want to test. They want to test that what is the feedbacks. What is the feedbacks of the people, and they want to test the production of outside of Iran. For example, Cut by Amit Nandari. Um, he made this film with full Japanese cast,
Hmm.
or some like Someone in Love, or Certificated Copy, or the other filmmaker, Sorab Shahid Salas with uh, Dutch cast. They want to test.
Hmm.
They want to test that how is the production of film outside of Iran, because they tried
Hmm.
making film in Iran, and they
Hmm.
want to um, try it outside of Iran, the production with foreign
Hmm.
production companies. Yeah.
Right. So you
and
think
and see that what
Hmm.
is the feedbacks when an Iranian
uh,
filmmaker make a film in other
hmm.
culture with
Hmm.
other cast and crew. What is the feedback?
Hmm.
Like Asghar Farhadi when he made Le Passé, The Past, in France.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I think that they want to um, test the production company and challenge it. Yeah.
Hmm.
You know, our we Iranians are so curious about the how we can make film in the other countries with other casts. I mean non-Iranian cast. We want to experiment. We want to um, try everything. Yeah.
You should make a film in India.
Why not? Why not? Yeah.
Yeah, come here.
One of one of Iranian DOPs uh,
Hmm.
told me that he was in the cast of a Indian film in India, and he told me that, dude, you don't know, they are so fucking better than us in the production of film. Yeah, he was in a
Really?
project, I think, in Bollywood.
It must be a very
Yeah,
high budget film for
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. I think it was a Bollywood project. I don't know.
That yeah, but no, seriously, you should come make a film with Indian, Hindi cast or Tamil cast or Malayalam cast. It would be interesting.
Yeah,
Um,
I think it's interesting because I heard about it.
yeah, so my next question is about the idea of documentary fiction, like the sort of idea of cinema verite. What do you think about it? Because that is a very big part of the Iranian New Wave, right? The realism and the sort of blurring the line between fiction and documentary. So, what do you think about it?
Yeah, can you make some examples by films?
Yeah.
That what do you mean when you say documentary fiction?
Hmm. So you take the films of Kiarostami, like Close Up, or uh, you take the films of Panahi, who has been inspired by him. So there's always like Close Up had an element of fiction to it and an element of non-fiction to it, right? Like in terms of um,
Yeah.
the story is real, but
From
there
my
are parts
point
of
of
it
view,
that
I think Close Up is a mockumentary. From my point of view, I think Close Up is a mockumentary, but it has some really strong elements of documentary. Yeah. You can't,
what do you
you
think?
know, it's a really tiny um it's a tiny line between them
Hmm.
in Close Up. I mean, the
Yeah, that.
mockumentary and documentary fiction, because in some parts of the films, Kiarostami is documenting. He's really documenting. But in some points, I think he's mockumenting. It's a mockumentary. Yeah, because I think he was really clever and smart.
Yeah. So yeah, so my next question is, do
Okay.
you think there is a correlation between filmmakers being politically outspoken and their films being selected, being approved by the board? So, like for example, Makmal Baf was outspoken, right? And you know, uh, so that is the first part of my question. Do you think there's a correlation between if someone is very open about their political opinion or about their real opinions, do you think they have a lesser chance of being heard?
What do you mean? In Iran, everything is political. In Iran,
Really?
everything is political, and you have to have your own political opinion because everything is fucking Islamic, and and if you think against them, I told you, if you even think against them, they want to stop you. Yeah.
So I'm just saying, I what I'm trying to ask is, so the people who have their films made in Iran under with the government support. You're saying they all
What do you mean?
active.
What do you mean films mayor? What do you mean films mayor?
No, no, I'm saying the films that are made with the approval of the government that are distributed in Iran.
Yeah, everything in Iran is governmental, and if you want to even drink a water, you have to um, make it. They take a permission. You know. Yeah. I suggest you watch. No one knows about Persian Cats by Bahman Qobadi.
I will
Yeah,
watch.
Bahman Qobadi is one of the most important filmmakers in Iranian New Wave Cinema. Turtles Can Fly is a masterpiece. No one knows about the Persian Cats is masterpiece. A Time for Drunken Horses, another masterpiece by Bahman Qobadi. Yeah, the most film that I like from his films is No One Knows About Persian Cat. It's about underground music in Iran. Yeah, if you watch that film, you can get the answer of most of your questions.
I'll watch it
Yeah,
definitely. Um,
yeah,
yeah. So, for example, the filmmaker you were just talking about, do you think they're internationally famous? Because I've never heard of, like, Amir Naderi, at least I know, kind of, because he immigrated. But what do you think about these filmmakers who make films about Iran but are not able to get international attention?
you mean that filmmakers that they are in Iran and making films, but they don't have any international news about them.
Yeah, like the kind of attention that um filmmakers like Kiarostami, or like everyone knows Kiarostami. Most people know Panahi. Everyone knows Farhadi. So what about, like, the filmmakers you're talking of, right? They in Iran, they're making films about Iran, they're making films about the realities of Iran, but they're not getting international attention. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, they are a lot. We are a lot. We are a lot. You know, in Iran, in just one single year, we produced about 1,000 short films, maybe more. I don't
Wow.
know. Yeah, yeah, and most of them produced with personal budget, not supported by any organization or government or any fucking this organization or systematic. And they are a lot. They are really a lot.
That is
Yeah.
true. I mean, I um okay. So my next question is, you know, tell me about, so India has a very deep culture of films. We are very emotionally connected to films, and we all
Yeah,
love
Sholeh,
watching films.
Sholeh. I love Sholeh.
No, like, and that's the thing, it's still like that. Like, we all still religiously go to the theater and watch films, and um there's this genuine, like, celebration that is associated with film. So, tell me about the culture of film in Iran. And also, I've heard a lot about um pirated DVDs in Iran. So tell me about
Yeah,
that, like,
VHS
growing
and
up.
DVDs. Yeah, it was about 20, 30 years ago. Now we can download everything we want. And,
That is true.
these days it's so easier. And yeah, we have a lot of uh, prohibited produced film in Iran and outside of Iran that on that years we watched it on DVDs or VHS tapes. And yeah, it was normal. But let me tell you something. For example, if um 30 years ago, 30 years ago, um a police officer in Iran arrested you with a VHS tape, they put you in jail for about
Right.
6 months. Or a cassette, or a cassette, for example, from Pink Floyd or Jethro Tull. They put
Mhm.
you in jail for 6 months or about 1 year. It was prohibited, yeah. But technology won the match. Yeah,
Mhm.
internet availability and access to internet made it easier. You know, sometimes they wrote a law in Iran, but it expired. It's ridiculous. After revolution, the government of Iran was ridiculous, and we just heard about it and laughing that they are so much stupid.
So, uh, so like, but watching films is as much as a thing in Iran. Like, did you grow up watching films on
Yeah, of
TV?
course, of course. Let me tell you a story. I had a teacher on a school because I was in high school, and for the last course I went to art school. I changed my course.
Mhm.
I was studying math on high school, and on that year, what happened that I inspired by cinema. I had a teacher. I bought this external heart. I bought this external heart. Yeah, this
Uh-huh.
external heart
Uh-huh.
6 years ago. And one day, my teacher told me that, "Do you watch films?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Okay, give me an external heart, and I copy a lot of films for you." I said, "Okay, no problem." And from that day until now, after 6 years, I'm a filmmaker and I have a label.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and the first film that I watched and I said, "Man, I have to make a film," was General by Buster Keaton.
Oh, right. That's a very old film also,
Yeah, yeah, it's it's
right?
it's a film in a silent era of cinema.
Yeah. So I have one more question, which is, do you see a movement like Iranian New Wave, you know, coming in the future in Iran or any other country or even in India? Like, is that something you see?
Yes, of course, because the new generation is so fucking talented, and they are crazy. They are crazy about cinema, and they, you know,
I guess.
they are brave. They are brave. They don't even care about the fucking restrictions. And yes, yes, we can see.
Do you think the intent? So we were talking about intent and audience, right? So
What about
do
the
you
intended audience?
yeah, so we were talking about what the intention of films are and who they're made for, right? So do you think the intent of Iranian New Wave films was to make an impact on society? And do you think the audience of Iranian New Wave films have always been Iranian people?
Um, I might think that the audiences of the Iranian New Wave Cinema was always Iranian. No, of course not. You can see Taste of Cherry that everybody. watched it around the world. Or
But do you think
Bahram
it was
Beyzai's films.
intended?
But about Kiarostami is a little bit different because he, I think that no, because Martin Scorsese said that on the year that they gave the Pondo to Abbas Kiarostami's Taste of Cherry, um, Martin Scorsese said in one of his interviews that on that year we didn't know that give the Pondo to which film. And I said that I watched a film from Iran, Taste of Cherry by Abbas Kiarostami. Yeah, I don't think. But about Asghar Farhadi is different because he knows what to do to take the prize. At last, but not the least, all these always gold.
That is true. So do you think they had an impact on society? Like,
Yeah, of course. Of course. Yeah.
so do you think
Yeah. I,
Farhadi's
I
film?
have a video. I have a video. I can send it for you later on Instagram. The people are um, coming out of the cinema when they watch the Taste of Cherry on that year. On that year that it won Pondo. Most of the people, somebody go for interviewed with the people, and most of them said it's rubbish. What was that? What happened to the end? Yeah, most of the people didn't like it on that time, but because he
Right.
was avant-garde. Yeah,
Hmm.
and after 20 years later, they understand what he did.
So, do you think? So, do you think that you were telling me about how some people thought it was rubbish, right? So, do you think people don't like it when filmmakers show like poverty or the realities of the film, of the like, not
No, no,
reality?
no, 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 no. The, most of them on that interview are saying that we were tired and bored of the film, and we didn't understand what happened at the end. Yeah.
Right. So, no, I'm just asking this outside of Kiarostami. Do you think that people have a problem when these international, these films that go internationally, they show sort of poverty, and they're like, why are you why are you showing only this part of this country? Because like for Indian films, this is
Yeah.
quite common where people are like, why are you just showing poverty? Why are you just showing dirt and misery? Like India is more than that. So do you think that's also the case in Iran?
Um, it it's so specific because and special because in the past people liked it. People liked it, and you know, um, Iranian peoples are when you produce something and you um, capture the people in a closed country with no other choices. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
in 30 years ago, and they can see Sorab Shahid cinema or
Mm-hmm.
the other filmmaker cinema. They don't have any choice. They don't have any other choices to watch the other cinemas or films to choose it. You know, it's a little complicated. But now, yeah, now yes, people don't like showing poverty or misery, and these kind of subjects.
Makes sense. I mean, now you're like, that's enough. We want to show more. I understand that. So yeah, so there definitely is a disjunction, like there definitely is like a difference between the perception of these films in Iran versus internationally, is what you're trying to say, right? There definitely is like a disjunction or like a difference between domestically how these films performed and internationally how they performed. Like you said, Taste of Cherry, people walked out here, but internationally it was received very well.
Yeah.
Right. So do you think the same thing happened with Farhadi's films? Like, do you think people
No,
in
no, 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 no,
Iran,
no, no, no. No, 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 no. Most of the people in Iran love Farhadi.
what about
Even some of my um, filmmaker friends. No, no,
right?
people love him. Yeah,
What
he he has a lot of fans in Iran. Yeah, a lot of fans.
what about like
But
Mahi? Sorry, but
um, I said in the past it was different.
hmm,
People had no internet or no, I mean, knowledge about the cinema. These
hmm,
days are different because they want to know about the cinema. They want to study. They are curious.
right.
Yeah,
So I understand what you're saying. I think it has changed definitely. So I think we can wrap up the questions. I think I've annoyed you for too long. Um, but thank you so much for talking to me. This was so helpful. You have no clue. And I am really
you're
grateful to
welcome.
be able to talk to you. Thank you for responding to me. Thank you for taking out the time to talk to me. I will
Thank you.